Hey, Don, are you there? Hey, Don, I see you're off mute. Are you there?
I'm there now. Hello.
Thanks. The floor is yours. Did you want to share your deck?
I do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Should be coming up in just a second.
We can see it.
Okay, great. It's very odd. I cannot see it. So this is a challenge. I'm gonna stop presenting and try again. Okay, thank you for your patience. Well, hi everyone, I'm Don Swanson, and I have just a few slides to show you in a couple-minute video, and then afterwards, BB's going to show you a live demo, and we're going to talk about some of the value propositions behind Microsoft 365 eDiscovery. So just a quick introduction. I'm president of a company called 5-Star Legal and Compliance Systems. We are a Microsoft eDiscovery consulting firm. And back in 2013, Microsoft, when they released Microsoft 365, they simultaneously released these eDiscovery capabilities. They ended up bringing us up to Redmond, and we became partners. And since then, we've worked with large corporations, enterprises, whether it's energy companies and utility companies and in financial services companies, but we've also worked with the government clients, including the New York State Attorney General's Office, the California Department of Justice, the State of Illinois Housing Development Authority, and two organizations that most recently signed up for one of our workshops, the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission and the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. And well, you don't want to gamble with eDiscovery. So let's talk a little bit about the eDiscovery processes. It ends up that these boxes in the middle, the blue ones and the black one, from information management on the left to presentation on the right, that's the so-called Electronic Discovery Reference Model, or EDRM. And it talks about the way information flows in a legal matter. First of all, identifying it within the source location, and actually the records management piece, that's information management, identifying it, preserving it, collecting it, then processing it and indexing it, enabling review, analysis, and then ultimately sending it out of the system, and if needed, presenting it in court. So Microsoft 365 handles those areas that are in blue. And you can see that it handles up to and including most of review. But it doesn't purport to handle production. For example, Microsoft 365 eDiscovery will not put Bates numbers on documents or otherwise, get them ready to present in a courtroom. That's a different tool. But the part about this slide I think is interesting is that there are many, many different products out there, and you're probably using some of these in your organization and maybe others. And they all seem to solve one or a few problems, but not all problems. Many organizations are actually using Outlook, that's in the kind of the upper right corner, for review. They're exporting PST files and they're giving them to attorneys, for example, in their agency, and they're having attorneys review emails within their own mailbox in Outlook. So we'll see how many things that actually can be done in place. That's kind of the overall story I have for you. Microsoft 365 eDiscovery Premium enables you to do more of these activities in place and kind of get rid of some of the other tools. And to do that, I'm going to show you a little video, under 2 minutes. I'm sorry if you were unable to hear that video, and if you're interested in seeing it, I can certainly follow up with you after this presentation. So let me know, Percy, if you need anything on that. So let's talk about pain points. For government, it seems that the public's request for information is a major burden. The requests are voluminous and there is a short turnaround time. And many of the public record requests are in Microsoft 365, email, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams content. So finding the content within Microsoft 365 may require Boolean search logic, date searches, and so-called participant searches. So the way to get around this is to understand that you can solve it by learning keyword query language, search conditions, and filters to help government teams find relevant data faster. Again, all possible within Microsoft 365 eDiscovery. The second eDiscovery pain point has been happening for a long time. Starting in Exchange Server on premises, the solution for email review was to export items to a PST file and then upload to a local machine for review in Outlook. Including the searching limitations and process inefficiencies and information security problems associated with transferring PST files, plus the potential bad outcome of a government attorney inadvertently replying all to an investigation target. The solution that you're going to see that BB is going to present to you in just a couple of minutes is you're going to see a live demo of how you can search, review, and tag content in place by using review sets. This is the aquarium approach of reviewing content within Microsoft and within the Microsoft security boundary. And the third eDiscovery pain point is export speeds. If you haven't encountered it, you may hear about this in the future. There's an export limit of 2 gigabytes per hour per data source, and an overall maximum of 10 gigabytes per hour across all data sources. Now, did you know that a mailbox today can be 1.5 terabytes in size? If you were to export an entire mailbox of that size, the one mailbox export would take 31 days. So with data volumes growing very fast, the handwriting is on the wall, and legal teams will need to cull data before exporting from Microsoft 365. So the message here is that Microsoft 365 can help you solve pain points, and Microsoft 365 Premium can do that through some of the advanced capabilities offered in that solution. So what are the next steps? The next steps are for you to go through a proof of concept to understand how will you collect items to meet your requirements? How will you run data when public record searches the contents in Microsoft 365 and comparing your as-is process to your to-be process. The second thing is Microsoft 365 collections for public records requests. Excuse me, go back. And finding out exactly how you're going to be able to cull data in place to find the items that you need without exporting an entire mailbox and sending it off to PST files. And finally, it's a training, getting your teams up to speed on this new model. It is new, and there's not only new workflows to be thought about, but there's new tools and techniques that you can use to find content that you never had before in Outlook. I'm going to drop in the chat now the email if you have any interest on following up on a custom training workshop for your organization. Kind of finally from me is that we're having a group workshop for government to cover Microsoft 365 eDiscovery Premium. And this is similar to the workshop that we recently ran, our 6th annual, but it's a 1-day, 3.5-hour workshop, and it's a ticketed event. I just dropped that in the chat if you're interested in looking into that further. And so with that, that's my presentation. And if you have any questions, my contact information, including direct line, is there. Bibi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Don. That was very helpful. Can everybody hear me clearly?
We can hear you, Bibi.
All right. I'm also sharing my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen as well.
We can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'll be showing you a demo of advanced eDiscovery now. To access eDiscovery portal and start creating eDiscovery cases, the users must be assigned appropriate permissions inside this Microsoft Purview compliance portal. So let's say I'm logged in as a global administrator in this Purview compliance portal. Global administrators can see all the Purview role groups here, and they can search for eDiscovery related role groups. So let's search for eDiscovery here. There are 2 eDiscovery related role groups here. One is referred to as the eDiscovery manager, and the other is the eDiscovery administrator. An eDiscovery manager can create eDiscovery cases, and they can view and manage cases that they create or to which they have access. You can add your IT admins or public records officers here. And if you want to delegate eDiscovery tasks to your legal teams, you can also add your legal team members here. An eDiscovery administrator is like a super user, and they can see and manage all the eDiscovery cases within the organization. You can add your global administrators here. So after adding users to appropriate role groups, they should be able to start creating the eDiscovery cases. So let's imagine I'm an IT admin or a legal team member or public records officer, and I already have the eDiscovery manager permission. So I can start creating an eDiscovery case here. As you can see, creating a case is pretty straightforward. Provide your case name, provide the case number and description, and then click on save. So I have already created a few eDiscovery cases here, and I'm going to show you one of the cases. There are several tabs inside this premium eDiscovery case, and they align to the electronic discovery reference model that Don was earlier referring to in one of his slides. The first step in the eDiscovery case is to identify the users who will be part of an investigation. And then you can also identify their data sources that you want to search and you want to preserve. The data sources tab here aligns with the identification stage of the EDRM workflow. Then next, you may have to preserve the data sources that are relevant to the investigation. So for this, you can place the custodial and non-custodial data sources on legal hold. And we also have a inbuilt communications workflow. So you can send legal hold notifications to custodians, and you can also track their acknowledgements. Then the next step is to start searching and collecting the live data from the custodial data sources. So the collections tab over here corresponds to the collection stage within the EDRM workflow. The next step is processing the collected data for further review and analysis. eDiscovery Premium can process hundreds of non-Microsoft 365 file types. And it can also extract cloud-based content that is shared with users by the use of links or even modern attachments that are in your email messages or even chat messages. It can also collect data from third-party sources like text messages or WhatsApp business messages, Zoom's meetings, and so on that's imported using data connectors. And the next step here is to take the collected and processed content into a review set. Here you can view specific documents and you can run additional queries so that you can reduce the data to what is most relevant to the case. You can also annotate and tag specific documents as well. Premium eDiscovery also provides integrated analytics tool that helps you further cull data that is not relevant to your investigation from your review sets. Then when you're ready, you can export the content from the review set for legal review. The goal here is to reduce the volume of the exported content and only export the relevant content. You can then take the exported content to the apps that you may be using for your production and presentation. Now, before proceeding with this case, we can configure the settings for the case. So here I can manage who can access this case and what they can do. I can also add other eDiscovery managers or other role groups to this case. You can then configure the search and advanced analytics for the case here. These settings will simplify your review process and it will help you cull irrelevant data later during eDiscovery. You can turn on features like near duplicates detection for content, then email threading. We also provide optical character recognition. That means you can extract text from image files. You can also configure high or low accuracy OCR settings depending on what you're trying to search. You can also extract themes or like common keywords used to convey the idea of the content. You can then later filter the content based on these themes to help you with your review process. If there's any text that should be ignored, example, any lengthy email disclaimers, you can exclude that from analytics by specifying the text over here. Typically, in any investigation, you start the case by adding a custodian. Custodian is basically an end user in your organization. When you add a custodian, you can associate their data sources to the case, and you can also put those locations on legal hold. So let's now add a custodian here. So let's say I am going to add Christy as a custodian. Now, one of the biggest challenges organizations face during eDiscovery is to find the various custodial locations in Microsoft 365. So eDiscovery Premium will help you find those custodial locations like Christie's mailbox, OneDrive for Business, then also all the teams that are associated with this custodian. So you can also easily see various teams mailboxes, then SharePoint sites that this custodian is associated with. So for this demo, let me just include this particular team site and mailbox. Then you can put the custodial locations on legal hold. This is usually done in a litigation case. Now, putting content on hold may not be mandatory during public records requests or your Freedom of Information Act requests. So in such cases, you can uncheck this hold option and you can continue adding your custodians. Now, the advantage of adding a custodian is that you can investigate specific users and you can also easily find their data locations, which will help you narrow down your search scope. If you want to associate additional data locations like SharePoint sites or shared mailboxes, etc., you can do that here. You can add these non-custodial data locations and then place them on legal hold. Sometimes you may have to add hundreds of custodians in bulk to an advanced eDiscovery case or a premium eDiscovery case. So this premium eDiscovery makes it very easy to bulk import custodians using the CSV file. Now, for the sake of this demo, I have already added two custodians, Megan Bowen and Joni Sherman. Now, once this custodian is added, you can also view the activities of custodians using Microsoft 365 audit logs. So these audit logs can help provide additional insights about the user during investigation. I already have the audit logs open for Megan Bowen. So here, your investigators can get insights on what is Megan's footprint in Microsoft 365. So is she trying to delete bulk content from SharePoint, or is she trying to remove any sensitivity labels from files and so on? So all these details can help you during your investigation. Sometimes you have to preserve or hold only specific content for this case. So example, preserve only emails and documents from previous year instead of preserving the entire mailbox or SharePoint site. So in such situations, you can create query-based holds. Now, all the holds in eDiscovery Premium are in-place holds. That means you don't have to archive or move the content to separate location in order to place the legal holds. So if organizations are using legacy archiving solutions, then Premium eDiscovery can help to consolidate the architecture and also save on additional storage costs. Now, sometimes due to compliance obligations, the legal team might have to notify the custodian that their content is on legal hold. So instead of doing this process manually or using third-party solutions, you can use eDiscovery Premium's inbuilt legal hold notification workflow, and you can notify the custodians via email. The custodians can then acknowledge those notifications, which can be tracked by the eDiscovery managers. Now, I have already created a communication here, which I can show you. So you can use rich text editor to define legal hold notification email templates. You have to just embed the acknowledgement link in this template. And when custodians receive this mail, they can click on this link and the workflow will automatically track their acknowledgement. Here you can define hold issue, hold reissue, and hold release email templates as well. You can also send reminders to non-responding custodians and also escalate to their managers if they are not responding. You can configure the number of reminders or escalations that you want to send and also the interval of these emails. Then choose which custodians you want to send the notification to. Now I have already sent the legal hold notifications to my custodians, and I can show you how the email template looks like for the custodian. So this is Megan Bowen's inbox, and Megan has received a legal hold notification mail from the legal team. She can now click on this acknowledgement link, which automatically tracks her response. Now the eDiscovery managers can track the status of the communication. So here you can see that Megan has acknowledged the notification, but Joni has not shown any response yet. The next step is to start collecting the information from various locations. So let's start creating a new collection. I'm going to call this as a public records search. Now let's set the scope of this search. I can select specific custodians that we have already previously added, or I can just select all the custodians. We can also search all the non-custodial locations for this case that we have already added previously. Now, adding custodians is not mandatory inside a case, but it is highly recommended because it helps you narrow down the search scope. Now, if you want to widen your search scope, you can include all the Exchange mailboxes and all the SharePoint sites within your organization. Then you can specify what you're searching or collecting. For example, I'll be specifying some keywords that I'm looking for this public records request. So I'll be searching for the keyword Falcon or brown fox. Here we can first get the search collection estimates and view the sample results. And if the results look good, we can later commit the collection to a review set. Now I have already created a draft collection, and I'll show you how that looks like. So once this collection runs, we can review the estimates and we can also check the search statistics here. We can also review the sample results. So this sample is like a quick quality check for our collection. So you can quickly go through the content and see if the keywords that you're looking for are available within the results or not. So let's click on this document and see, yes, it contains one of the keywords that I was looking for. Now, if all of this looks good, we can commit this draft collection into the review set. And review set is the place where your legal team members or your eDiscovery managers will perform a detailed review of the content. I have already loaded the collected results into the review sets. So let's take a look at that. You can think of review set to be a cloud location where you can apply advanced analytics that will filter out immaterial or duplicate items. And then your public records officers or legal team can review this content, and they can also categorize the items as relevant or not relevant to the case. Now, all the collected items have been loaded into this review set. As you can see, there are around 95 items that I have collected in this review set that match those keywords that I had earlier searched. Now we can run the document and email analytics on this review set in order to eliminate duplicates, and we can also construct emails into threaded conversations. You can then check reports that will show you a distribution of different types of content in the review set. So example, how many unique emails, how many duplicate emails, how many duplicate and unique attachments, and so on. Now, after running analytics, it will also automatically create a query called for review. And in this view, all the duplicate items will be removed, which will make my review process less time consuming. So now I have to review just 63 items instead of reviewing the 95 items that I saw earlier. Now, since all this content is in place, all the metadata of content is preserved, and you can use more than 60 properties to filter items in this list. So example, I can select date, maybe senders, recipients, and other tags over here. And you can also save these filters as queries and reuse them later during your investigation. eDiscovery Premium also provides an advanced query builder, which allows you to group various conditions without having to write complex KQL queries. That's another challenge that we hear from customers, right? They have to write complex KQL queries that are prone to syntax errors, etc. So if you dread writing KQL queries, then this advanced query builder is going to help you a lot. So here you can build multiple condition groups using various metadata properties, and you can also use Boolean operators like and or between those condition groups. Then we also provide a search profile view, which provides a visual distribution of content in the review set. So this can provide more insights during your investigation. I have a sample profile view open over here, and I've already applied some filters where sender is Megan Bowen. So now I can visually see who are the top recipients of emails that were sent by this custodian Megan. So it looks like Joni Sherman is the top recipient of Megan's emails. So all these search profile views and statistics will help you during your investigation. If there is custodial data on on-prem file shares, we can also import such non-Office 365 data into the review set. And you can also extend eDiscovery of content to third-party SaaS apps. We provide several data connectors here in the Purview portal that your admins can configure. You can then import content from text messages, then social media, as well as document collaboration platform into users' mailbox. And then you can perform eDiscovery on that content as well. Okay, so now the emails, documents from SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, and Teams messages are all available within this review set for my review. So it's time to investigate. So if I click on this email here, you can see that all the emails are shown neatly in a threaded conversation. Looks like there are around 6 different emails as a part of this conversation, and there may also be duplicate emails as well. So instead of going through this 7 different emails, I can just read one thread with proper context for my review. This is going to save me a lot of time. Then if I click this document here, I can go through the contents of the document. And it looks like this document has 2 near duplicates. I can ignore those during my review. And if at all I have to review them, I can click on this and check those duplicate documents very easily. So instead of going through all the duplicate documents cover to cover, I can quickly do a side-by-side comparison of the duplicate documents with the pivot document, which can help me again save a tremendous amount of time. So here you can see that it has highlighted the differences between the duplicate document and the pivot document. eDiscovery Premium makes it very easy to perform Teams eDiscovery. So instead of getting only the Teams messages with a specific keyword that you searched, it pulls up the entire Teams conversation thread so that you can get a context of what the users are talking about. If the users have shared any documents in these Teams chat messages, then those modern attachments will also be pulled into the review set for your review. For example, here you can see Joni has posted a document inside the Teams chat, and that same document is available right here for my eDiscovery purposes. Okay, so everything is available within the review set. And let's scroll down here. Premium eDiscovery also helps you identify keywords from image files because it supports optical character recognition. So this is an image file here. Let me go to the plain text view. So here you can see the keyword falcon that I was earlier searching within this image. You can also annotate and you can redact any sensitive information that is available within this content. And you can also preserve these annotations and redactions when you export the content. You can also create your own metadata tags to classify data in the review set. So example, if I find this content is relevant to the case, if this image is relevant to this illegal investigation or public records request, I can apply the tag as relevant to the case. Okay. We also have a smart tag called attorney-client privilege, which is based on artificial intelligence. If it finds legal content, then it shows up as attorney-client privilege positive. So to summarize, your legal folks can now perform their review right inside this tool instead of exporting huge amounts of content and doing an offline review. So I recollect Don was mentioning that, earlier many customers used to download the entire mailbox or used to download huge amounts of content and then perform eDiscovery. They used to do mainly manual eDiscovery or maybe using third-party products to do that. But you can see how advanced eDiscovery can help you overcome all those challenges. So now let's say I have finished reviewing the data and I've tagged all my items relevant to the case. Let's filter the relevant items. So I have finished my investigations and I have around 7 contents that are relevant to this case. So I may want to now export this relevant content to produce it to attorneys or other stakeholders. So let's click on export here. We provide various export options, like you can export in report only format, or you can export emails as PST files. You can export emails and documents as LULS files also within the directory structure. And then there's also an option here to export content to an Azure storage account. With this option, you can safely download the content and securely share that with your external attorneys instead of downloading it to network file shares or sharing via USB drives or CDs, etc. So this was an overview to show you how Premium eDiscovery can help you consolidate various systems and also help you cull the data and reduce the review time as well as save costs. So now I'm going to hand over the session back to Barry.
Phoebe, thank you. And thank you, Don. So in wrapping up, we have a few resources specific to eDiscovery. At the top of the slide here, what you'll see is we've created a specific alias to a group of we specialists specifically for SLG and compliance, which this falls under, which you can see the alias right there. There's also, as you can see here, I won't read them all, but specific again to eDiscovery, there's a Ninja, I guess, course or resource online that you can tap on there. There's a homepage for eDiscovery, some blogs, and so forth. Also about the recording, this recording and every other webinar session within compliance is put on this YouTube channel that you see the link for right here. And then this page here is about how do you get started with M365 compliance. So you can see here, there's for those of you that have a unified support contract, there are a plethora of resources, workshops, and things that you can take advantage of. There's also compliance assessment, which isn't just eDiscovery, but really our whole compliance suite, if you will. And then last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, we do have an email alias here specifically going to SLG compliance specialists, including myself. So if any questions or you would like to schedule a meeting or what have you, we can also arrange a live demonstration like you saw here in part from BB. We can certainly facilitate that for you upon request. The one other thing that's not on this page, I did put in the chat line. We do have an upcoming on May 12th, our security summit. It's a virtual event, which lasts for 3 hours. We have some top executives from Microsoft presenting. So if you would like to attend it, I put the link in the chat line again, where it has a registration button and you can see it there. So that's it. So we're gonna stop the recording for the moment and we're gonna open up the mute line so that you can ask any questions live, or of course you can continue to put them in the chat line. So any questions before we get ready to depart here? Of course, no rush.